sunk an enemy destroyer.
Hey team, it's Ripper here, but you guys are doing fantastic today. Today's video is Gearing or Yueyang, which is better in today's meta, and we're going to analyze two video gameplays of what we've been using lately in Ranked, Tier 10 Gold League, and see if it works out. But before we get in, like, subscribe, bell button below. Appreciate all the subscribers and the supporters of the channel. Can't thank you guys enough. At 2,000 subs, giving away a free premium DD giveaway. I look forward to that. So let's get right to it. Tier 10 USS Gearing. And let's read a couple things before we begin. I always love reading a little story and history about the actual ship we're playing. The Fletcher-class destroyers didn't quite meet the requirements of the U.S. Navy, so the ship's contours and inadequate AA defense were subject to criticism. The new class of destroyers had an elongated hull, which resulted in an increase in displacement, but solved the stability issue. Most of the ships entered service after the end of World War II and served in the navies of 12 countries during the Cold War. U.S. Gearing didn't participate in World War II either. She was also used to conduct training operations in 1940s and 1950s. So Gearing, you guys don't know, I mean, a very famous destroyer. I believe it is somewhere in a museum or somewhere for people to visit and take a look at, but you'll have to look it up, Google it, and use your phone. But the Gearing has been very, very renowned, and I've been hearing the word Gearing a lot. And it's a very famous destroyer, one of my first destroyers that I got when I first got the game. And reading off the stats, the reason why I liked it so much was the gunpowder. I mean, if you actually go to the web ship, the shiptools.st, and you actually filter out the gunpowder of the Gearing actually ranks pretty decently up there. It's only in the top 10 DDs for Tier 10 and Tier 9, and given an HP DPM about 216,000 DPM, so it's nothing to gawk at. AP damage is okay, mediocre, questionable. The range 11.1. The biggest thing is the torpedoes. The torpedoes do go out to a range of 16.5 kilometers, dealing decent damage, 17,900 damage there, and for the 300% flood chance, the reload is a little bit ridiculous, 116 seconds base. If you want to build, you can get a little lower, but not the quickest reloading torpedoes. The speed is 66 knots on the torpedoes, with the reaction time is 7.9 seconds, so 1.5 kilometer detection. So decent torpedoes, long reload time, a great distance. So that's what the Gearing is really known for. But I really, really enjoy the gun power of the Gearing. That is what sold me, because I can duke this out one-on-one with any destroyer. Will I survive or not? That's a question, but I just like the gun power. Look at the guns out here. Just the three sets of double barrel 127 millimeters is the standard of the U.S. Navy. Just awesome guns. I believe I forget what they're called. What are they called here? Mark 10, Mark 12s? I can't remember. You guys will figure it out. But yeah, 127 millimeter guns, really, really awesome. They really pack a punch if you get it. And of course, you got the American smoke screen, as you can see here, that lasts forever. I mean, look at the dispersion time, up to like 20-something plus seconds. And then the smokes last literally 2 minutes. Look at the counter on the top left. 2-minute lasting smoke. You could sit there, and back in the day, you could camp in it all day long and just basically farm from the cover of smoke. However, unfortunately, in today's meta, you can't really do that necessarily as efficiently and effectively with the advent of radar, hydro, 6-kilometer hydro, 12.5 kilometer radar nowadays. You even have submarines now. You have CVs. I mean, it is a pretty horrendous time to be a destroyer player because of all the threats that are out there against you. Even the defensive AA you can see there as a consumable, and the Gearing doesn't really do much against Nakamovs or Maltas or any kind of Tier 10 CV nowadays, because the carriers are just super overpowered and are favored. So really, the destroyer player, which is what I advocate for on this channel, I want to have more good destroyer players out there to lead from the front and really fight the battles that really change the nature of the game and change the tide of the game. I think it's very, very important to be a good destroyer player. Well, we're going to get back to the Gearing itself. I mean, the turning radius, you can see here, it is very maneuverable, very decent speed. The top speed, I believe, is, I'm looking at it right now. Speed, where is it at? General acceleration 19.4 seconds, max speed 36 knots. So it's an average. It's not the fastest, not the slowest. Good turning radius, 640 meters. Again, the biggest problem it doesn't have, there's hydro right there. As you can see, GK lighting us up. So very, very deadly to be in this area, but we're going to cheat away and get away. 6 kilometers, I know the statistics, so I'm going to drive away as far away as I can, so I go undetected and not get shot at by the Kleber. But the biggest one, look at the health pool. It's only 22,900 in building it for survivability. There's nothing more I can get out of that. I mean, with the likes of Elbing out there now, which just got a huge update with this Research Bureau legendary mod, is getting up to 34,000. You're getting 34,000 health on an Elbing, and you got 22. Not really fair, not a fair gunfight. So, like I said, I think the gearing has been power crept in the sense. If it gave it more HP, I don't know why Wargaming doesn't add more health pull points to previous destroyers to give it more of a competitive advantage when they keep increasing other destroyers. It just seems very, very difficult to play these days. The gearing also has a great concealment. I believe you can get this thing down to 5.8 or 5.6, somewhere around that range. It's under the 6s, basically. It's pretty awesome. I'm going to take a look at it, see if I can get at concealment, detectability by sea, and the gearing is basically starts at 7.3 kilometers. So if you want to build for it, you can get it pretty close down to like below 6s. So I always say anything below 6, definitely shoot for, because those are the really good detectability destroyers. But again, with the likes of submarines nowadays, very, very difficult to play with. Submarines have the best concealment of the game now. But I digress. So what other things do I like about the gearing? Look at reversing in just to be safer here. It's got the smoke we already talked about. Depth charge. Again, destroyers are the worst things to eliminate in World of Warships submarines, because you got to drive over a target. Now, how often are you supposed to drive over an enemy in order to kill it? And I mean, that seems kind of a terrible strategy unless you want to YOLO, but that's why I don't like submarines in the way that you got to give better defensive weapons than that. Look at here is the Kleber driving at us right now. Now, normally I would lose a one-on-one gunfight, but since we have supporting fire here, we can do this. And as you see, the gunpowder is pretty powerful there. But again, I wouldn't go one-on-one with the Kleber and a gearing. I would use my the concealment and drive away as far as I can, or continuously keep him spotted. That's pretty much it. The gearing is pretty much a standard basic destroyer concept. It really is not that cosmic. It doesn't really require much other than skill and a player and that knows the game, the nature of the game, the mechanics of the game, and is really just you using just sheer, smarts in order to destroy an enemy opponent, and that's it. I mean, there's not really too many significant gimmicks in this thing. No radar, no hydro, no nothing. It really is just torpedo power, smoke, and guns, and that's why I like the gearing back in the day so much. It was just really hands-on, multi-purpose, basic, generic destroyer that really did what it needed to do, which is go in and cap, spot, torpedo, smoke, and everything. Everything you have ever asked and required of a destroyer player, the gearing does. And it's famous because it actually existed, and you actually have it out there, and it's got the traditional-looking Mark... what are those guns? Mark 12s. I can't remember the guns. They're 127 millimeters. The traditional, standard-looking United States secondary gun, destroyer gun concept, and it just looks so cool. I like the concept. I like the look of the ship. It's really awesome. I like that gearing. So, coming from that Fletcher class design up until now, very, very beautiful ship, very powerful in what it does. So, let's take a look at comparison. Of course, the build's coming up at the end of this video. At the end of this segment right here, you can take a look at the build. I did it purely for gunboat build for gearing. If you want to, you can build it for a torpedo boat, which most people do. I like the concept of the gun power for me personally. Look at how beautiful and sexy that gearing looks right there. But we'll compare it to the Yueyang gameplay and see how what kind of parameters and what kind of efficiency, effectiveness do you guys see out there. But here's the build right there, purely gunboat DD, just trying to get as much DACA as I can, get it out under this thing. Nothing else outside of that is really cosmic about this ship. I mean, I wish I could tell you more about it, but it's just a standard, simple, easygoing destroyer for player for anybody. So let's take a look at the Yueyang right here. Tier 10 Pan-Asian Yueyang. Now, this one I built as a radar gunboat DD build. Now, there is a legendary mod on this particular one. You can build a legendary gearing. I believe all it does is increase the speed or even concealment. I'm not sure. You have to take a look at it, but somewhere along those lines about speed and concealment, I think that's what they're trying to make the gearing a more powerful, sneakier torpedo boat. But let's take a look at the Yueyang. And again, this is the legendary mod where basically instead of concealment, you're sacrificing concealment for gunpowder reload. And it's got a really, really awesome reload rate now. But again, I just got it down to the gearing. Actually, if you compare it, the stats still favor the gearing. The gearing has 216,000 DPM against the base. Against the Yueyang's, I believe, let's take a look at the Yueyang. Yueyang, I'm pulling up the stats right here. Yueyang only has about 162,000 base stat of HE-DPM, so a lot lower. Even with the legendary, I'm not sure if the legendary mods actually increase that, but again, very lower base speed because of the reload rate. You start the reload rate pretty low. It's let's see, the base reload is 4 seconds, and suppose the gearing's base 3 seconds. So you lose about 40,000 right there, just off the bat right there. But again, very, very powerful when you build for it. And take a look at the gameplay. especially with all the gimmicks you have in here. You got engine boost, you got the radar, which is out to 7.5, and of course you have the reload booster for torpedoes. And again, these are deep water torpedoes, and the deep water torpedoes do pack a punch. However, they don't kill destroyers or submarines. I think they only kill cruisers and CVs. Let's take a look at the torpedoes right here. Torpedoes, 87,000 torpedo damage, 13.5 kilometer range, so you do lose about 3 kilometers there. 18.8 thousand damage, and there are 69 knot torpedoes base, and the reload is horrendous, 129 seconds as you build for it, and the reaction time is 4.3 seconds, so not the greatest. Now look at this gunpowder right here. Just look at the reload rate shooting on the which destroyers is I lost? Z-52, I believe. Yep, Z-52 just not having a good day right there. Again, one of the first destroyers, and boom, there goes the first kill. And I believe that is another Alvaro de Bacan, whatever basically the is that Spanish? I forgot. Spanish, Italian, I always get confused. I think this is the Spanish one, so look at the flag right there. But yeah, the gunpowder reload's awesome. If somebody was shooting at me, this would be kind of a fair gunfight, but I'm just kind of soaking up all the kills right there. You notice that a lot of gunpowder from a Yueyang, especially when you build for the gunboat reload, and then we have the radar activator right there to spot everybody, and really that was a long radar too for a destroyer, and it's really awesome. Yeah, that's actually what it was. The legendary mod also gives you a long duration radar. So pretty incredible. You can get the radar out to 20 to 30 seconds. So very effective and very devastating if you get caught in it. And that's what sells the Yueyang so well. And that's why I like the Yueyang a little bit better than the Gearing, because it is a standard kind of look of a Gearing. I mean, look at the hull. Look at the ship. It's standard layout, 3 gun setup, and you got the dual barrel 127 millimeter guns. They do pretty much the same kind of damage, just slower reload rate, unless you build for this legendary mod build, and you got all the builds for a actual gunboat DD. The only downside is the torpedoes are deep water torpedoes. However, the deep water torpedoes do have a better detection or sneakiness, if you want to call it, but a 0.8 kilometer detectability as opposed to the 1.3 or 4 that was for the Gearing. So you do have sneaker torpedoes. Unfortunately, they don't hit other destroyers, but who cares? You're really torpedoing big boats anyways. That's what I kind of I like about it. Yeah, but with the advent of hydro and everything going on, having a torpedo that's a little bit stealthier is a little bit better. But again, a lot of people are dodging torpedoes like crazy unless you launch a bunch of them. And that's the why Yueyang is great with the reload boosters nowadays. They give us an extra one, so you pretty much can do a lot of damage in a short amount of time. And of course, the maneuverability and everything and the speed is kind of similar to the Gearing. Again, it's the same Gearing, everything whole. Just the differences are deep water torpedoes, radar, reload booster for torpedoes, and of course the little bit slower guns. But again, if you build for it, they are comparable to the Gearing. So really, it just comes down to how are you going to employ this in today's meta. Being sneaky, do not get caught in radar. Make sure you understand how the dynamics of your opposing DDs are. You got to know. You got to pick your battles. I mean, I would not take a Yueyang up against a Marceau. You will just lose that gunfight. I mean, because look at the HP. We are a little bit lower, 22,000. That's it, and that's built for survivability right there. It's not really much to gawk at. So. Or not much to to praise about, but Yueyang, if you do get it in the right setting, in the right one-on-one DD confrontations, this thing is pretty menacing and pretty destructing. I mean, especially when you get adrenaline rush kicking down. If you get half your health going down, the reload gun power on this thing is pretty phenomenal, and it's awesome. And I believe, oh yeah, look at that. If we get Combat Scout, we get another main battery reload. So that's another gimmick. If you get Combat Scout, which means you spot the enemy for a certain amount of time and get the damage on that spotting, you're also going to get that bonus. And you also have to inflict at least, I believe, 5% damage overall of the entire team. So yeah, you'll look at it at the end of the video. Take a look at what the requirements for Combat Scout is. But look at that. We have a boost right there. We have the legendary mod built onto it. We also have a gun reload. We have the Fearless Brawler, Adrenaline Rush, everything kicking in. And this thing is, I would say, a devastating, scary thing to go up against. So if I had a Yueyang and a Gearing going up one-on-one, I would actually take the Yueyang. Bottom line. So at the end of the day, Yueyang, and to me, seems like a more powerful DD gunboat. Now look at this. Here we go. We're spotted right there. Yep, it's the Yueyang. We pop the radar. 33-second radar. My God, it is longer than I thought it would be. Up to 30 seconds. And now, what was the Shimakaze going to do? Not much. And just look at the sheer gun power. And we're taking a look right here, just how much power. A lot of those players miss some of their shots right there. But look at our guns. Our guns are fairly decent accurate, getting a lot of those shots, getting fires going on right there. And boom, splash 3. He goes down. And look at the firepower right there. If it was a fair fight one-on-one, we would have to see like a Gearing versus Yueyang to compare honestly. But right there, not a fair fight against Shimakaze. But guess what? The cool thing is the Shimakaze cannot run away from our radar right there. So that's what helps out and sells Yueyang very, very well. The radar, this thing is a DD hunter and killer again, but you have to be very choosy about which battle you pick. Again, I wouldn't pick this thing up against a Kleber or Marceau, but it does handle it fairly well against some of the other destroyers out there with the comparable healthful points. Otherwise, if this thing went up against an Elbing with 34,000 health, no way. But anyways, I digress. Look at the deep water torpedoes right there. We launched a full set right there, and then we hit the reload booster, and there's the other second set. So you can see what kind of firepower right there. You make the judgment if that is something that you like, the gimmick right there. The reload booster does take about 4.5 minutes to reload, and your deep waters reload in about 2 minutes right there. Anyways, and I didn't build for torpedoes. The base reload is as you see it. So really, the torpedoes are just there just to kind of cause damage and chaos just randomly, but I digress. That's what I think the torpedoes are really designed for. But really, the Gearing and the Yueyang, I build them for DD gunboats, and that's exactly what I like to use them for. And if you want to, you can build for smoke as well for Yueyang if you like the concealment of smoke. It is still a long kind of American-style smoke. It's very, very decent, very effective. So again, it's your choosing of how you like to use those things. And let's see, what other things can we talk about here? Other than that, I mean, that is the basics of what we got going on for Yueyang. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What would you pick, a Gearing or a Yueyang? And for me right now, I think Yueyang is very powerful. I mean, it's got, let's see, how long do these smokes last? I'm just looking it up. Smoke time, smoke radius, so 70 seconds, dispersion, so about a minute and change. So yeah, the smoke isn't as long as the Gearings, but yeah, Gearing has 130 seconds dispersion. Yueyang's got about 70 seconds, so half the time. Anyways, I like the Yueyang a lot better than the Gearing in today's meta, but let me know your thoughts again. As always, thank you for all the support. If you like the video, like, subscribe, bell button below. Appreciate all the support. Subscribers, in my next video, I'll probably do I just got the Burgoyne, if you want to call it, and it actually is, I'll do a review on that and see how it goes. Here's the build for the legendary mod Yueyang. As you can see right there, built for radar, and you're going to see how Combat Scout is activated. I'll highlight that right there for you guys. A full DD gunboat build right there, and as always, you guys stay safe. Cheers.